Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. I'm here today with a video that I've been wanting to make for a few months now, but I never got around to it because I didn't finish the books on this list. The list being the bibliography of one of my favorite authors of all time, Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've now read all 9 of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, and I thought it would be such a fun idea to actually rate them in order of preference for me personally. I know it will differ for different people, but in today's video I'll be sharing with you my least favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book to my most favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book. But even my least favorite TJR book, it has a rating of 3.5 stars out of 5, and that is also pretty amazing, and that gives you an idea about the level at which Taylor Jenkins Reid writes. So to help myself with this video, I will list out all of her books in chronological order before I get on to ranking those books according to my preference. Here they are. Her first book, her debut book, was Forever Interrupted, which came out in 2013. The next was After I Do, which came out the following year, 2014. And then there was Maybe in Another Life in 2015, and One True Loves in 2016, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo in 2017, Evidence of the Affair, which is a sort of a novella, which came out in 2018, Daisy Jones and the Six came out in 2019, Malibu Rising in 2021, and Carrie, Soto is Back in 2022. And I feel like since 2013 there have been only a couple of years in which there hasn't been a TJR book release, and I'm all the more happy that she has been so consistent in bringing out the books. The thing about Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing is that it explores romantic relationships of different kinds. For example, if in one book she's talking about how people can drift apart, in another book she's talking about how some relationships stay the same and how you can pick right back up years into the future. So it's a plethora, and this is exactly what makes sure that none of her books are very similar to the other. She talks about loss, she talks about the extent to which people can go to make sure that you are in their life, about growing apart, about growth, about self-love, self-care, self-improvement, about understanding. There's so much to unpack in every single one of her books. And in today's video, I'll be doing exactly that. I'll be unpacking my thoughts about all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. I took this project upon myself, in which I read every single one of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books to find out which one I love the best. And in this video, I'll be ranking them from least favorite to favorite. So the book that you'll be seeing first will be my least favorite of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, and the book that you'll be seeing last will be my favorite of her books, although I suspect that you know which book is coming last. And also remember that these are my opinions. This is my opinion, so please remember that, keep that in mind before you get worked up about anything. Okay? Cool. So without any further ado, let's dive right into this video and let's see how this ranking of the books of one of my favorite authors of all time, Taylor Jenkins Reid, stands. At number 9 is Forever Interrupted, which was her debut book, which came out in 2013, and I gave this 3.5 stars. This is about a woman who loses her new husband. Like, they've been married just 10 days, even their marriage certificate has not come home yet. He dies in an accident. This is about how she picks herself up and how she bonds with his mother in this whole grieving process. I mean, it was a great premise, but it just felt like in a lot of places there was quite a bit of fluff that didn't fit into the story, that didn't make it that crisp of a story. It's still a good one. I really liked reading it. I sympathized with the main character and the mom as well. Through this, I could understand both the perspectives and I could sympathize with both of them, and that is what helps us as readers get an outsider's perspective, to get a look at the big picture, at the bigger picture, and helps us understand both sides of a story. So on the whole, it was good, but it was not like the Taylor Jenkins Reid that I know and love. And yet I'm grateful for this book because this is where it all started off. This is where Taylor Jenkins Reid's career trajectory to that top it started off. At number 8 is Maybe in Another Life, which came out in 2015. A woman, she moves back to Los Angeles, her home city of Los Angeles, and there when she's out with a friend, she bumps into an ex-boyfriend. The decision that she makes at that point, whether to leave with the ex-boyfriend or whether to turn him down and then leave with the friend that she came with, who she is living with at the moment, how her life takes two different trajectories, forms this entire story. It was a really interesting read. It reminded me somehow Midnight Library, and I felt some softness towards the story, but somehow it plateaued at one point and it never got back up from there. Plus, I do think that some of the feelings that the main character was going through, they can't be erased that quickly, and to see her living this one life and then living this other life, feeling two different things, was a little bit of a stretch for me. But then again, whatever she goes through in those two different trajectories, it sort of has an effect on how she feels, so I can't really complain over that. Overall, it was a good exercise in reading about different trajectories in life, the decisions you make, the butterfly effect, or the multiverse, or whatever you want to call it. At number 7 is After I Do, which came out in 2014. It was her second book, and I gave this 3.75 out of 5 stars. And this is the story of a married couple who, after a long time of being married, they find that they have this disconnect between them. They decide to take a separation of sorts. I think it's a year's separation, and how their lives go about and what they end up thinking of in the end forms this entire story. And I really liked it because it shows how people can drift apart, and it shows how some space, some distance can give you a brand new perspective, and it can put you back on track for whatever you decide to do in the future. I feel like the ending of this book was a little but I also say that that was the whole point, because it was to show that, like I said, space helps. At number 6, and I'm a little upset that this comes so down in this list, but the book is Malibu Rising, which came out in 2021, and I gave this also 3.75 stars. And I did like the book, but it was such a huge disappointment because I was so looking forward to reading this book that I went and got a hardcover, and now I'm thinking a paperback would have sufficed. This is the story of Nina Riva and her siblings. Nina has been forced to grow up after their mother died. She and her siblings are Mick Riva's kids. Mick Riva, which you'll remember from another one of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, which is a sort of a whole universe on its own. She becomes a surfer model. I don't know what you call them, but she becomes that, and she becomes really famous, rich. It's about her relationships and her relationship with her siblings, her relationship with her dad, her romantic relationships, and everything that she has to go through to bring up her siblings and to keep the business that is their family's restaurant afloat. This book covers it all, but I just felt like there was a little bit of disconnect. There was a sort of repetitiveness to it all, and it just dragged the story down. There is weight to the story through the emotional hardships that they go through and the emotional baggage that they are left with, but somehow this repetitiveness just makes a little light of it. By repeating it so many times, by adding so many unnecessary or insignificant characters to have points of view of their own, it just makes it look like the story, the main story that you're telling, the main thread of the story that you're telling, it isn't that important. Outsider's perspective and all, yes, but it somehow gave it that air. It was more of a disappointment to me because of all of these, which I just said. But otherwise, it is an intriguing book. At number 5 is One True Loves, which came out in 2016, and I gave this also 3.75 stars. And this has been made into a movie starring Philippa Sue, I think her name is. and Simu Liu and Luke Bracey. I couldn't get these characters, these actors out of my mind as those characters. The whole time I was reading it, I was like, okay, this person, this actor is this character. And every time that character was doing something, I haven't even watched the movie. Okay, so what One True Loves is all about is the main character. She is now engaged to Sam. And they, as a family, Sam, her parents are out celebrating her father's birthday. While they're leaving the restaurant, they're in the car park when she receives a call from her husband who was supposed to have died a while ago. So now the problem that she is faced with is she has a husband and she has a fiance. Because he was assumed dead, he was pronounced dead in fact, she grieved for a while, a long time, and then she was like, I can't live like this, so I have to move on, which is fair enough. And now she is engaged to Sam, and all of this comes tumbling down. So what is she going to do? So this is another example of relationships and how their color shifts and changes over time. And I think that's all I can say without giving away any major spoilers, but I really enjoyed reading this book because it was very well written. It bounces between timelines. It tells us about Emma's life with Jesse in the past and then Emma's life with Sam. So you see the contrast about how the two Emmas are, and then you get on the way to understanding the kind of decision that Emma has to make, the hugeness of that decision, and then you understand why she takes that decision. So all in all, even though I didn't have any huge problems with One True Loves, the book, it just felt like something was off because the end happened a little too quickly, or it happened a little too predictably. So that's the only complaint I have. At number 4 is Daisy Jones and the Six, and this came out in 2019. And I gave it 4 stars when I read it, apparently. I thought I'd given it like 4.5 or something, but I do remember a little bit of when I was reading it. But I also remember being very attracted to the voices of the characters because they were talking so passionately in it. Daisy Jones and the Six is a story of a fictional band called Daisy Jones and the Six. So Daisy Jones is the female vocal lead, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and how she grows and evolves as a person, how her relationship with the other people in the band evolves and changes, forms this entire story. And I don't remember much from the book. I think I listened to the audiobook as well, and even though I was like all in awe of it, this was one of the first international packages that I got, and that was also part of a giveaway, so that was a huge thing for me. So when I read this book, I was really expecting to be blown away by it, and I was in a way, but it just felt okay to me. People were raving about it, they were going nuts about it, but I was like, okay, it's good, but is it that good? Somehow my memory has convinced me that I loved the book, and recollecting on all of this, I'm like, did I not love it as much as I claim I love it? A reread is pending is what it is. At number 3 is a novella called Evidence of the Affair, and this came out in 2018 if I'm not mistaken. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed reading it. There's so much development over the pages. It is in the form of letters between two illicit lovers. It looks like it is between two strangers, but as you dig deep under it, you actually see what it's about. Like, I can't find any fault with this novella because it is so compact. It encapsulates so much. It helps you understand heartbreak, it helps you understand love, it helps you understand what people are maybe forced to do, their circumstances and all the like. I never condone infidelity, but it was sort of a study into how things can shift over time. And that is why this novella sits high on this list. Number 2 is Carrie Soto is Back, which was published in 2022, and I read it this year and I absolutely love it. This is about Carrie Soto, who is a retired tennis player, But when someone, a new younger tennis player, is threatening to beat her records, she is brought back to the tennis court. She is like, I'm not going to allow her to beat my records. So how she goes on this journey, and it's not just this journey that she's going on, like it's not just the rebirth of Carrie Soto on tennis courts that we are watching. We see her tennis life from before as well, and how she grows as a person, and how she learns to stay firm in her mind and to stay firm in whatever she is doing. It forms this entire story, and I am in awe of Carrie Soto. Honestly, she is one of my favorite female characters of all time. She is so strong, she's so fierce, she doesn't care what anybody is saying. I mean, of course, those anybodies who are talking, the misogynistic, patriarchal scourges of the media, it affects her. Obviously, she is human after all, but she doesn't dwell on it. She is just so sure in her own shoes, and she is like a role model. Like, I want to be at that level, and she knows what she's doing right, she knows what she's doing wrong, and she takes steps to correct or improve whatever she's doing. And that is why I love this book so much. This whole story is just so inspiring, and basically, all in all, she knows what she is doing. Okay, top spot. Now there's only one book remaining, so you know which book this is. And that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is the only book on this list that has gotten a full 5 out of 5 stars. You know how much I love this book, especially because I've done a reading vlog for it. I have gushed about it in that video, and there has been a lot of gushing over the past couple of years since I read the book. But if you'd like to go watch me gushing in detail about Evelyn Hugo, then I'll leave the link here as well as in the description box below. This is the story of Evelyn Hugo, who is a huge superstar, yesteryear's superstar, but now she wants Monique Grant to write her story, to interview her. In this way, we see a recollection of her past, about every decision that she has to make to survive in the Hollywood industry, trying to make her own in an industry that is so misogynistic, that's so sexist. We see her decisions, we see what made her get married to the 7 husbands in question, and we see each one of them, and it's just a lot of emotion, but there's also a lot of strength. Evelyn Hugo has this presence. Even when you're reading about a fictional character like Evelyn Hugo, you feel that presence, like superstar presence in the room. Right? Because as I've already mentioned in that vlog and in a couple of other videos, there was so much anticipation when Evelyn Hugo was about to make her first appearance in the book, and that is the kind of power that she holds. For that and for so much more, for giving us such a huge role model, I'll forever love The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It is such a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant book, and that ending, those couple of twists and so much more, I can't gush enough. That's why this book got a full 5 out of 5 stars from me. 5. I mean, I could give it 10 if I wanted, but take all the stars. They are all yours. You are a star. I need to stop. Anyway, so that was my ranking of all the Taylor Jenkins Reid books. And Taylor Jenkins Reid, one of my favorite authors of all time, and every single one of her book has something to offer. Irrespective of where on the list they figure, I always found something to take away from her books, and that is what makes an author so good, and in Taylor Jenkins Reid's case, great in my opinion. So what are your thoughts on this ranking? Do you like Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing, and which of her books are your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.